I'm filming this video on October 10th, 10/10, and it seems pretty appropriate that I talk about the Seder square, which has a lot to do with 10. By the end of this video, this information might seem pretty advanced if you're unfamiliar with the square. We're going to talk about reflective letters and shapes, numbers, gematria, and we're going to talk about what this has to do with Christ and Christmas Day. But I just want to start simple. What is the Seder square? Wikipedia describes it like this. The Seder square, or the Rotas Seder square, or the Templar magic square, is a two-dimensional acrostic class of word square containing a 5-word Latin palindrome. Take a look off to the right. You can see the picture that Wikipedia has up for that entry. I took a screenshot of that square that Wikipedia showed, put it off to the left. There's something interesting about that square. Notice there's 3 letters that face backwards. The S in Sator, the N in Tenet, and at the bottom, the S in Rotas. And off to the right, you can see basically its mirror image. Now the S, the N, and the S are facing forwards. And there's 10 backwards facing letters at this point. You may have heard of the movie Tenet. It's a movie about time inversion, and they definitely use the Seder square as inspiration. The antagonist is named Sator. He has a company called Rotas. Rotas backwards is Sator. He's looking for, or somebody in the movie is looking for an art forger named Arepo, Thomas Arepo. Backwards is opera, and the very first scene of the movie Tenet takes place in an opera house. So if we use ordinal gematria, simple cipher, English ordinal gematria, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and so on, the word tenet equals 64. 6 plus 4 is 10. And you can see in the center of the screen here, the Seder square has the word 10. Forwards and backwards, up and down, down and up in a cross formation. We're going to talk about the cross in a little bit too. But the word Sator, S-A-T-O-R, equals 73. So does the word Rotas. Seder backwards is Rotas. Rotas equals 73. 7 plus 3, 10. And you could do that for all of these 5 words. Arepo equals 55 with the English ordinal cipher. 5 plus 5, 10. Again, tenet equals 64, 6 plus 4. The word opera equals 55, ordinal. 5 plus 5, 10. Rotas, 73. 7 plus 3, 10. I can't stress this enough. The mirror image of that Seder square that Wikipedia shows from France has those 3 backwards letters. When you put that image in a mirror, there is, instead of 3, there are now 10 backwards letters. See off to the right, I have basically a mirror image of the original there. And this particular square has something to teach me, and possibly you. It's pretty fascinating. Please stick around till the end of the video. If you're a newbie, watch the video a few times. It might become clear. If you're a seasoned number decoder, you know all about magic squares and maybe even the Seder square, I might show you something you haven't seen before. There's many different ways to decode the Seder squares, and there's many different versions, if you will. Not all the versions have the backwards letters, but I think the backwards letters teaches us something here. I have another video about the Seder square, a little bit more about the 10, and how 10 is a triangular number. We're going to talk about triangles, we're going to talk about squares. Again, this is the Seder square. We're going to talk about a circle. And Notice off to the left, you can see certain letters. I've drawn over the original image uh, with uh, with black, and certain letters. These letters form a circle. It's like circling the square, circle the square. That motto there. Um, some of you might already know where I'm going with this. Those letters are. Well, here, let me show you something. The letters off to the left that are highlighted in black in a circle formation are vertically symmetrical reflective letters, meaning that if you put this entire square, the image off to the left, in a mirror, it's going to reflect something like what's on the right side, and the only letters that reflect the exact letter back to you are those letters, the different letters, T, A, and O. And they appear how many times? Is it 4 times each? There's 4 T's, 4 A's, 4 O's. Um, and what's funny is well, no, I'm not going to go there yet. But notice there's 12 of them, off to the left and off to the right. And just compare and contrast. Look at the top left. That S is facing backwards. That's the original image. The S is facing backwards in that square found in France, at least according to Wikipedia. Look off to the right. The S is facing forward, where there are a lot of other letters that are facing backwards. Look at the bottom left. The R is facing forward. Look at the bottom right. The R is facing backwards. You see this pattern fits. It's almost like the exact mirror image. And the only letters that are vertically symmetrical reflective letters are the 12 in a circle formation. It reminds me of a clock, and it's perfect. The movie Tenet is about time inversion. This square has a lot to teach us here. And there's 25 letters in total. So 12 of the 25 are arranged in a circle. And I've talked a lot about Christmas Day, 12/25, as a lot of the world celebrates the birth of Christ on 12/25. And here we got this Seder square that's there. If you research it, some people say that early Christians used it. There's something about the Paternoster and whatnot, and I have another video about that. Leave a link in the description. But yeah, 12 of 25 are in the circle. And if you want to take a screenshot, that's just the two squares. The off to the left is the original, off to the right is kind of a mirror image of it. 12 in a circle. 12 of 25. 12/25 you may know as Christmas Day, December 25th. And something I've talked about previously is that Christmas Day on a leap year, that's the leap year that completes the cycle. It starts over. The leap year is very important. Anyway, Christmas Day on a leap year is the 360th day of the year. It's like the full circle, 360 degrees. And this 360 degrees in a square. And again, we're talking about the Satør square. And we're talking about square number and such. Off to the left, you can see the triangle. It's 3 sets of 60, so 360s. Kind of clever, but 12/25 Christmas Day. That reminds me of the 49th triangular number. It's 12/25. Add all the numbers 1 through 49. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, all the way to 49. You get 12/25, like Christmas Day. Christmas Day reminds me of a square because it's 12/25 is 35 squared, meaning 35 times itself. 35 times 35 equals 1225, like Christmas. So you see, Christmas reminds me of a square, a circle, and a triangle. Once again, a circle is 360 degrees, a square is 360 degrees, a triangle, equilateral triangle is 3 sets of 60, 360s. Christmas Day on a leap year is 1225, which is equal to the 49th triangular and 35 squared. So you see I have the square, the triangle, and the circle, circling the square. So look off to the bottom, you can see 49 minus 35. What's that equal? That's an easy one. It's 14. Talk about Genesis 1:4, and God saw that the light, it was good, and God divided light from the darkness. So you think about this duality, these reflective letters, the non-reflective letters, N backwards in a mirror looks like N forwards. N is the 14th letter of the English alphabet. And again, off to the left right now, you can see the original screenshot of that Sator square found in France, supposedly. The N is backwards, and so is the S's. There's something to be said about the S being similar to a manipulated N, but we're just going to stay with the 14 here. And again, off to the right, you can see the letters that reflect backwards. There's only 10 of them. Again, this is something to do with 10, tenet. 10 is the fourth triangular. 10 plus 4, 14. Again, the center is the N, the 14. Here's where it gets a bit tricky for some. If we're going to use that reflected square, see all those letters that are surrounded by pink? Those will not, if you type the letter backwards, the R letter backwards, for instance, R in rotas, R backwards doesn't have a value, at least in gematria calculators I've seen. But the rest of the word, rotas, O-T-A-S, well, O is the 15th letter, T is the 20th, A is the 1st, S is the 19th, and then opera. Spell the whole square out, but leave out the letters and the backwards letters. And you can see up towards the top, that breakdown equals 196. 196 is 14 times itself. In other words, 14 squared. Again, we're talking about this magic square, the Sator square, the rotas square. That 14 squared, again, the 196, we found that in the simple English gematria cipher, the English ordinal. But if we use the full reduction cipher, might be just labeled reduced, something like that. Spell out the same letters, leave out the ones that are facing backwards. Again, we're talking about the reflected image here. If you spell out those letters, it equals 43, which is the 14th prime number. And speaking of the 43 real quick, 43. Look at the image off to the right. You notice the backwards E. There's 4 of them. This backwards E's look like 3s. There's 4 3s, so 43 surrounded by that N, the 14th letter. Also notices a few 9s and reminding us of possibly Saturn 93 and the sun 93 million miles. And the word 10 in one of the gematria ciphers equals 39. But again, 43 is the 14th prime. We can also get the 14th Fibonacci number. Again, we're dealing with that reflected square where many of the letters are facing backwards and do not yield a gematria value. Using all capital letters, and we used to call it the Frank Baconis cipher. Derek changed the name to, I guess, mixed capitals. Or capitals mixed, sorry. Either way, all capitals, using the capitals mixed cipher, that reflected square gets us a value 377, which is the 14th Fibonacci number. And speaking of 14 again, I think I talked about it in another video. Christmas Day, for most people, If you go forward a span of 14 days, that brings you to Coptic Christmas or Orthodox Christmas. But you have this duality, and again, in Genesis 1:4, God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness.